Hello everybody, and welcome back to OMB Reviews. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well, and today we'll be doing a box office preview for this upcoming weekend, which finally sees the release of Top Gun 2 Maverick, which I am going to see tonight, and I cannot wait. I've been waiting 2 years for this film to release, and I've got my ticket to go see it in IMAX, and I am stoked. Been hearing almost nonstop positive things about the film. For those that have seen it, I've heard some people say it's definitely worth waiting to see in IMAX versus just seeing it in a regular theater. And I've heard a lot of people even say that it's worth the decades-long wait for a sequel to this film. And so that makes me very excited because that indicates to me that, one, the film is going to look beautiful, which is the main reason why I want to see this film and why I've been excited about it, is because of the cinematography, but also that the story is good enough to be able to justify its existence. So I'm pretty excited to just see where the story goes and to see what kind of crazy stuff they are able to do in the process as well. We also, of course, have another weekend of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, the opening weekend of the Bob's Burgers movie, which I know everyone is excited for, and also the second weekend for Downton Abbey, A New Era. Before going any further, though, into these numbers and some other films, please make sure you smash that like button, lap that fire button if you're watching over on Odyssey, and also make sure that you are subscribed to the channel with that bell notification on. That way you know every time a video or live stream goes live on the channel. So, of course, the big news is Top Gun Maverick, which is expected to make $130 million this weekend with the 4-day forecast. So remember, this is Memorial Day weekend. And so therefore, the 4-day total is projected to make somewhere around $156 million domestically, which is quite impressive. This would also be the first ever Tom Cruise $100+ million opening weekend. So that is actually, one, surprising, and two, a bit of interesting news and history there, because I would have thought with all of the Mission Impossible films, with all of the action films, that there would have been at least one film that he was able to have that type of release for. But apparently this would be the first $100+ million opening weekend for Mr. Cruise. In fact, you can see right here from Box Office Pro that the Top Gun Maverick targets Tom Cruise' first $100+ million opener and potential Memorial Day record. So again, interesting for us to still be technically in the COVID era, or the monkeypox era as it's now being called. People obviously don't care all that much about any of that nonsense and are willing to go out and brave the risk and go see these films. And so that's very exciting. And last time I checked at my IMAX screen tonight, it is expected to be pretty packed. So I'm quite excited for it. But again, $130 million opening weekend domestically with $156 million in the extended opening. Very good numbers for Top Gun Maverick. And I imagine that it probably will get close to maybe $300 million when you add in the international market as well, which would be a very strong opening weekend. And this film is again in a lot of theaters right now. It's at 4,700 theaters, which is a crazy amount. Definitely one of the largest, probably also, of Tom Cruise's career. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, in now its third or fourth week of release, is expected to have another 55% drop, which would make $14.6 million in the 3-day and $19 million in the 4-day, which would bring its entire domestic to around $372.8 million by the end of the weekend. If we look at the current numbers for Doctor Strange, that would put the film, when you add in international numbers, probably pretty close to $900 million. And so, as I've been saying, I do still think that $1 billion is within reach for this film. However, I do definitely think that those international numbers are going to play a lot more of a role in whether or not those projections actually hold. We are seeing this film have some consistent drops in the domestic marketplace. We'll see if those drops continue internationally as well, especially with a new film like Top Gun being released. And we will have to, of course, follow those numbers. I still do think that this film will be able to cross the $400 million mark here domestically, and obviously cross the $500 million mark at least internationally. So again, at the very least, $900 million for this film, and I could see this film anywhere somewhere between $900 and $1.1 billion by the end of its run. Remember that one of the lower end estimates I had for this film still had it in the $900 million range, which was based on the first 2 weeks accounting for 70% of the box office, which is meaning a lot of drops, very consistent drops week on and week on, and very poor legs, essentially. And so if that continues internationally as well, then the film could end up, capping out somewhere between $950 and $970 million. But again, based on the numbers as I see them, it looks like it still has at least the potential to do so. And this is not me defending. It's interesting how many people in the comment section think that this is me defending the film, saying, why are you pushing so hard for the film to make $1 billion? It's, well, because it's my honest assessment based on the actual numbers themselves. And guess what? I've been wrong before. I've been right before. So take them or leave them. We also have the Bob's Burgers movie. I know everyone's so excited for the Bob's Burgers movie. Yeah, I've actually never seen an episode of Bob's Burgers, and every time the trailer has come on, I've just been like scratching my head saying, I don't quite understand it. Obviously, everyone has their own sense of humor, and I'm sure there are people who genuinely like this show, and hey, more power to you. There are shows that I like, which I'm sure many people don't like, etc. So, hey, it happens. This is expected to make $9.6 million, which is definitely a lot lower than the original projections were. This is something I talked about in the box office tracking video I did yesterday, the long-range forecasting, that this film was dropping about 15%, whereas you saw films like Top Gun rising about 3% or so in their long-range forecasting. So, yeah, Bob's Burgers not looking like it is going to be a huge box office success. However, we also still need to get the actual budget for the film to be able to know for sure. As of checking yesterday, there had not yet been a budget for the film. Let me go ahead and check and see if that has been updated at this point, and so far it is not. I can't imagine that the film cost all that much to make, so if this film costs between $10 and $15 million, then hey, $12 million by the end of the 4-day weekend, and projected to make up to 20 or so million domestically, and when you add international numbers, maybe 40 million by the end of its run. That would be enough to make its money back potentially if, again, it costs around 10 to 15 million, but that's of course the big question. This is a 20th Century Studios under Disney's banner film, so it could also have cost a lot more because Disney tends to overpay and spend way too much on a lot of their properties, including even their animated ones, which shouldn't cost nearly as much. Downton Abbey: A New Era expected to have a 52% drop in its second week of release, making $7.6 million with a end result of around $31.5 million by the end of the 4 days. So as I've mentioned previously, this film is not doing as well as the first film, and luckily someone did in the comment section point out that they had actually released a budget for the film, and it is a lot higher than the first film's budget. And so because of that, Downton Abbey is actually in a lot of trouble because of that. So if we actually go to my my little box office charting here, you can see that the last time I updated this yesterday, it was at $53.6 million. Because of its budget being a lot higher than that of the original film, it's actually $27 million in the red at this point. It needs to make $100 million worldwide in order for it to actually be able to break even. So is it still possible for the film to reach that number? I think that it potentially is, but obviously it's a lot harder with that much higher production budget. Right now it's around 56.4. So with that kind of a number, we're going to see this film push itself closer to that $75 million number. Could even be higher depending on the international. But this film is not doing as well as the first film. That's something that I did point out in last weekend's box office breakdown. But now that we know that the budget for this film is a lot higher, again, it's around $40 million is the projected amount. That makes the break even around $100 million. And so, again, it's not looking nearly as good as was originally thought for Downton Abbey because of now knowing what the actual budget for the film is. The Bad Guys, as I remember telling y'all, I had not updated the numbers yet, but The Bad Guys has indeed reached the point of its making profit, and right now it's looking at around $5.9 million in profit. And if you can see here, these percentages are what the first 2 weeks are in comparison to the final number or the number as it is today. So for instance, if you look at a film like Memory, it actually did quite well in comparison to its first 2 weeks. The first 2 weeks account for around 60% of the number. So had this number been a lot higher, meaning had the film made a lot more money, that actually would have been a fairly decent drop, and that's a very typical drop. Whereas if you look at films like The Bad Guys, it's around 64% right now, and it'll probably end up getting close to that 60% number, which indicates why the film is at that point of it's being able to make its money back. Whereas when you look at films like Fantastic Beasts, it's only in the 70s, so this means that the legs just dropped off by a very high degree. You look at Sonic the Hedgehog, you can see that the legs were pretty strong and consistent. Ambulance and Morbius, you can see the legs dropped off. But then you look at films like The Lost City, and this is something that I mentioned previously, that originally I had projected this film to lose a crap ton of money. However, because of a late surge in the international box office, because it had a delayed release internationally, which of course is going to play with those numbers, but hey, I'm going to go ahead and take the L on that one. As you can see here, it well overperformed. And again, the first 2 weeks only account for 31% of the now $176 million, meaning this film did much better later on. But again, it's because of those international numbers, coming in full force. But anyway, those are the main films that to come out this weekend. There's, of course, also Sonic the Hedgehog 2, 32% hold. Everything Everywhere All at Once, another 30% hold, and expected to make another $2.2 million. And you know what that means, guys? Everything Everywhere All at Once is going to officially break even and be profitable, and that just makes me so incredibly happy. As you all know, it is the much better multiverse film that is out there currently, and I highly recommend it to all those people out there. And apparently Men is a giant woke mess, and sure enough, its box office is showcasing that. However, last I checked, there was no actual budget for the film, so whether or not it's a financial flop or not is still remains to be seen. But what we can say is that Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore is losing its theaters and is very likely to end its theatrical run with a massive $50+ million loss. But what are y'all's thoughts about these numbers? Are you excited for Top Gun Maverick? I am so pumped. Again, going to see that film tonight, so I'll have a review out on the channel. Once I get out of the theater, I'll do my typical, car video, however it is that Jeremy does it, my typical car video review immediately after seeing the film. Again, so pumped for it in IMAX. But let me know your thoughts about that or anything else I mentioned in the comment section down below. If you like this video, smash that like button, lap that fire button on Odyssey. Y'all are all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, God bless. Before going any further, I wanted to give a very, very huge special shout out to one of my Valkyries, one of my longtime supporters, Tina B, the Empress of the Universe. Thank you so much for being a supporter and for being a mod on this channel. And now for a huge special shout out to all of my members who are at the Keeper of the Bifrost level and above on Patreon, Subscribestar, and Locals. So first on Patreon, Brandon, let's go Brandon, Christopher Bowman, Garrett Searles, Hymir Irie Hymason, Jacob from Holland, Jacob Juice, who you can check out on his Letterboxd. Jacob Juice is how you can find it. Jeffrey Toon, Joey Horn, Jonathan Carney, Laura, the Modern Major General, Story, Mad Mike Jackson, special shout out for him in a second, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Orange Hat Reviews, you can check out his channel, Orange Hat Reviews, Rosetta Allen, you can check out her channel as well, Stan Andrian, and Miss Martin Muses, who also has a YouTube channel. And a special shout out, as I mentioned, to Jacob Juice from Holland. Again, letterboxd.com/Jacob Juice for more information about him. And a special shout out to my members over on Subscribestar, Matt 317, Storm Tracker, The R, Fast Reaction, Mr. Roy, and a huge shout out to my newest Chosen of Valhalla member, Luka Illich. J-Rod, the Beer Guru, and ZK-Man. Thank y'all very much for supporting on Subscribestar. And to two of the members who are supporting me over on Locals, who asked for special shout-outs. First off, Minnesota hockey fan. Let's go. Let's get a hockey player. And UAB, Mad Dog, Mike Jackson for the win. Thank you very much for supporting me, and also Robert Barnes on Locals as well. Anyway, if you want a special shout-out, and Brett D90 for that matter, if you want a special shout-out at the end of every single video, please check out that top link at the very top of the video description. It'll give you more information about the different tiers and what you get every single month. Thank you guys for your love, for your patience, for this month's shout-out video as well. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and as always, God bless.